All right, time for another hoodoo story. And this one is from Waycross, Georgia, and is said to have happened around 1910, according to the person who gave the Federal Writers Project interview. So the story goes, and I do believe it's the woman who actually did this telling the story, but she says that the love of her life was sentenced to the chain gang, and she just wasn't going to let that stand. He'd already been there for about 9 months and was sentenced for an unspecified amount of time, according to the story, but she wasn't having it. She needed him out immediately. So she went over to a conjurer who promised that he'd have her husband out in 10 days if she did this one thing. Now, she was instructed to go to the cemetery that was 2 miles away from the jail that he was staying in, and at first dark, she needed to get some cemetery dirt. Now, there was very detailed instructions in this, and for obvious reasons, I'm not going to tell y'all what it is, but she did collect the graveyard dirt as instructed. The big thing, though, was making sure that no one, even though she took somebody with her, the person could not enter the cemetery with her. She had to do this by herself. So they collected the dirt, and she went back to the conjurer's house. Now, this conjurer named Old Man Andrew told her that she needed to be at his home by 1:11 a.m. So she went to him, dropped off the cemetery dirt, and he told her the next day you needed to come back with a quart of liquor. And what's interesting with this is that Andrew actually gave her the 75 cents to get the quart of liquor. Now, from here, it's obvious that they're going to mix the whiskey and the graveyard dirt, which is what he did. But he then instructed her that she needed to leave for 8 to 10 days and go down to Florida. So she went home, came back the next day, and he gave her the bottle with the whiskey and the graveyard dirt mixed, and she was then to put the contents at her home before leaving. Now, within that 10-day period, her husband or her boo was released from the work camp. He actually ran away from the chain gang. He wasn't officially released, but he got out of there. And he stopped by the conjurer's place, got some stuff, and then met his woman in Florida. And it's only assumed that they lived happily ever after that, right? But the person does go on to say that the whiskey was payment to the spirit for the work that was going to be done. And clearly the spirit accepted it, and hey, it worked. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this one in the comments.